So what are we learning today?
Let me start by saying I'm Gary Hellwig.
Oh yes, Suzanne Hellwig.
And this is Talking Hands, and we're doing jewelry making skills. And this skill is how to make a jump ring or a figure eight connector. In an earlier video, we showed how you use jump rings and figure eight connectors to connect components together. And in this video, we're going to show you how you make them.
And so, what gauge of wire are you using today?
18 and 20 gauge wire are the
Okay.
gauges we like to use for jump rings.
Okay, and what wire are you using? Is that our artistic wire?
This is artistic wire.
I see, and all the different pretty colors that they have. Okay.
The one thing I will say is you can buy jump rings and you can buy figure eight connectors. And the reason that we always make jump rings and make figure eight connectors when we do our projects is that we never plan far enough ahead, so we never have them when we need them.
And so you're going to show several techniques, not just one.
We're going to show two different techniques for making jump rings and figure eight connectors. And the tools that we're going to use are our step jaw pliers here with 3 individual steps, our flush cutter. We're going to use bent closing pliers to help close the loops. And we're going to use one of our WigJig tools, in this case it's the WigJig Centaur, along with the super peg accessory in order to make some jump rings. So let me start here. We'll take a piece of wire and
tell me again, why do they call them jump rings? Do you know?
No, I don't know why they call them jump rings.
Really? So what we need to do is Google that. I've never understood why they call them jump rings.
No, I don't know either. With jump rings, you make them in a variety of sizes, so I can make a small jump ring on that size step of the step jaw pliers. Probably too small to be useful. I can make a medium-sized jump ring on the medium step, and this is a size that you can use and you will find you'll use them. And then, so it's easier for everyone to see, I'm going to make a large jump ring on the larger step here.
And the other, I think, advantage of using a step is then each jump ring will be the same size.
Exactly the same size.
So if you use round nose pliers, such as this, you'd have to try to remember each time where you put the wire, whereas on this one you don't have to do that.
Exactly. We don't like to use round nose pliers because of consistency, and this allows us to be more consistent. So what I'm going to do is grab the wire with my step jaw pliers, and you can see that I've got a little bit of wire poking out here. It doesn't matter because that's going to be cut off. And then I start wrapping the wire around. I push it as far as I can, and then I'm going to continue wrapping around, and you see that I have it going past the original piece of wire.
So it's like a mini coil, the beginning of a coil.
It's the beginning of a coil, and so I got it wrapped around more than one time, and that's what's important here.
So there's overlap. There's
overlap, and you'll notice that the first piece of the jump ring is straight. That's the piece where we had it just poking through the jaws of the pliers. Well, the problem is there's no way we can avoid that first piece of the jump ring being straight, so what we do is we plan on it and then we cut it off like that.
And you're putting the flat side of the cutters towards the ring.
Towards the finished jump ring.
Right.
So there's my first cut, and the second thing, I'm going to cut it on the opposite side of the jump ring in exactly the same manner with the flat side towards the finished jump ring.
Wow.
And then after you made that cut, you have a finished jump ring. And you know, in an earlier
with the bent nose pliers, so it's easier to see with that hand there. Great. And so it's slightly separated.
Right. And you can, you know, open it and close it as we showed earlier. Now, one thing that we will tell you with jump rings is the loop closing pliers are a very good thing to use with jump rings. And one of the things you want to do with your jump rings, whoops, I did it too strong there and I ruined this jump ring. So throw that one away. No.
Okay.
Here's another jump ring that we finished.
Okay.
And I'm going to put it in the loop closing pliers and give it a slight squeeze, and the opening is right here on that jump ring. And I squeeze it just a little bit to make it oval.
Oh, so you can make oval ones.
Well, the reason you want it to be oval is if it's round, sometimes the pulling force will line up with the hole and it can pull it open. But if it's oval, the pulling force is going to line up with the hole on the opposite axis, so it won't pull open. So
I see. So it's stronger.
It's stronger when you make it oval using your step jaw pliers.
That's because when it hangs by gravity, it will force it to be from here to here.
Exactly.
Up and down. Maybe we should turn it around up and down.
Yes.
And then the opening is right here on the edge rather than at the bottom where it could fall
Exactly.
out.
Exactly.
I see.
Now, so we made our first jump ring. That's how we make a jump ring, and you can see how we can make them in different sizes using our step jaw pliers. Well, now we're going to make a jump ring using our WigJig tools. And what I'm going to do using our WigJig tools is I'm going to start by making a loop here.
And isn't that smaller step specifically sized to match our pegs?
The smallest step on the step jaw pliers is sized to match the pegs on
perfect.
the Centaur, and so you can see it. You know, it fits exactly. I don't need a complete loop here. It's not a concern that that loop is open because I'm actually going to cut that loop off.
Right.
But you
it's
can
a holding.
see
It holds the wire for you.
exactly. I call it a sacrificial loop. It's going to be cut off later.
Okay.
You can see I'm using like a 5/8 of an inch
Super peg.
super peg. I can use any size and make a jump ring any size I want, but all I'm doing is wrapping the wire a little more than once all the way around.
And we can do this basically on any of our jigs with the super peg.
On any of our jigs.
Right.
And so you want to wrap it more than 360 degrees.
Like you did before.
Like we did before. And then when you cut, again you cut with the flat side of your flush cutter towards the finished piece. And you're cutting off that initial straight portion. And then I'm going to cut here with the flat side towards my finished piece. And so you can see I've got a large jump ring. I can twist it closed, and that's a very large jump ring right there. So that's two techniques for making a jump ring using the step jaw pliers and using our WigJig tools. So now we'll show the second component that we're going to make here, a figure-8 connector.
You know, one thing I wanted to, before we went on, to clarify these lid closing pliers, the reason you were able to squeeze that into an oval is they have a groove in them, right? In
Exactly.
the jaws, and
exactly.
so that holds the wire.
That holds the wire
Got
so
it
it won't slip, otherwise
Right.
the wire would slip.
Okay.
Now, figure-8 connector is a very common component. You can make them using your round nose pliers, and I wasn't going to do this, but I'll show it really quickly how to make a figure-8 connector using your round nose pliers. What you're going to make is a regular P-loop to start, and once you have your P-loop, in your round nose pliers you grip the other side of the loop and you make a P-loop the other way. And so now you've got two loops overlapped. That's with the round nose pliers. Then you cut the excess wire, again with the flat side towards the finished piece, and you have your figure-8 connector. Now I'm going to do the same thing on our step jaw pliers.
I want to show something that I do that you don't do, but I like to take it and put it in the nylon jaw pliers and press it down in a couple different orientations to flatten it out and to harden it so it's stronger.
So this time we're going to make the same figure-8 connector using our step jaw pliers. And the benefit here is that the upper loop and the lower loop here are slightly different in size because I didn't grasp them at exactly the same point.
Right.
Whereas in this one, the way we're going to make it,
it's always the same.
it's always going to be the same. So I start by making a regular P-loop, and I'm going to close that just a little bit better than I did. And now I put the P-loop with the P pointing down into the pliers. What I need to do is push the P up just a little bit, just like that.
To get it even.
To get it started. So just like that. And then after I've done that, then I push the wire up and over, and then I have to reorient and push it the rest of the way around. And so now I've got my figure-8, and I just need to cut the excess wire here. So now I have a figure-8 connector there where both of the loops are exactly the same size because I made them on my step jaw pliers.
And I'm doing the hardening here off camera.
Now, we showed you two ways to make the figure-8 connector. We're going to use our WigJig tool, and we're going to show you a third way. And what we have to do is position 2 of our super pegs and 1 regular peg in our WigJig tool. And now I'm going to make a small loop here, the size of the peg, the regular peg for the jig. And it really doesn't matter if this loop isn't the best loop.
Because it's a sacrificial loop.
Exactly. And then I'm going to wrap the wire around in the figure 8 pattern. And I didn't leave myself enough wire here.
Okay.
See if we can salvage this. Nature's way of telling you to use a second pair of pliers is when you start to draw blood. So just as I started to draw blood there, I get out my second pair of pliers. Now you can see I have my figure 8 shape there. Now what I need to do is cut the excess wire on both sides.
Oh, so there was excess wire even with that small tail.
Tiny little bit.
Okay. And you're holding them towards the flat edge towards the finished piece.
Yes. And so there you can see I made a very large figure 8 connector. So using our jig, you can make the jump rings or figure 8 connector as small as the 3/16 inch there, or as large as the 1/2 inch here.
Great.
So in this video, we showed you how to make a jump ring connector in several different sizes using our step jaw pliers and using our WigJig tool. We showed you how to make a figure 8 connector with the round nose pliers, with the step jaw pliers, and with our WigJig tool. And I think we used 18 gauge wire or 20 gauge wire here. And we also showed you how to use our step jaw pliers to convert a round jump ring into an oval jump ring that's slightly stronger.
Great, thanks so much.
Cut.